Shalom, shalom, shalom to all my brothers and sisters out there. I'm glad that you just clicked to watch this message. Today, I just want to pass a very vital message and use this opportunity, to be able to really answer some questions that some brothers and sisters have, which they've been trying, some have been asking me these questions, repeatedly. So I decided to take this time to be able to use this means to answer this question. Now, one of these questions is the difference between the people who are following the Shabbat and traditionalists, or the people who are called, according to the Igbo language, ordinary people. You need to understand the distinct difference between the people who are followers of Shabbat and the people who are ordinary or traditionalists. Now, the core traditionalists, you need to be able to understand people like Peter in the Bible. And I'm just give you an instance now. People like Peter is a hardcore traditionalist who was being called from his way of traditionalist, and then he followed Yahushua. And you see that during the time of the apostles who were being chosen by Yahushua himself, they were all traditionalists. That is to say, they were a people who were into the things that has to do with their way, the tradition which they were being brought up with. Now, I'm going to be telling you the difference between tradition and Shabbat keepers, because these are two separate people. And you need to be able to understand the reason why Yahushua, during the time when he was with his apostles weren't keeping the Shabbat. And this was a problem to the people who were keeping the Shabbat. So they went to complain to Yahushua, and they said to Yahushua, look at your disciples, they don't keep the Shabbat, because they were even doing things which were not supposed to be done on the Shabbat day. So the apostles of Yahushua were not in line with that Shabbat, because they have something that overrides or that supersedes Shabbat. And these people who were of traditionalists, or who are traditionalists, the main aim why they are into traditionalists is because they know that before the law of Moses, or when you talk about the Shabbat, was even given, that they have been, their own way of life is older. When you go to the Bible now, for example, the Bible talks about Abraham. There's something that was being given to Abraham, that is the promise that was being made to Abraham, and the law of circumcision which was being given to Abraham was given to Abraham 430 years before the table of stone was being given. Now, these traditionalists, they understood this. Now, and they are trying to keep to the law of circumcision. In another term, they are trying to keep to the things that happened during their own ancestors' time. And now you see a people who are coming up newly 430 years after the law of circumcision was being given, and these people are trying to draw the traditionalists who are older than the Shabbat, who are older than these people. They are trying to pull them under the bondage, because the law, you need to be able to understand, was a bondage to the people who were traditionalists. You can use the law of the 10 Commandments, because when you use it for the people who are under the traditionalists, you are enslaving them, because they have something that supersedes. You are trying to enslave them indirectly, because they have something that overrides. What I'm trying to let you know is that when you talk about traditionalists, everything that is contained in the law of Moses, they know about it. They've been keeping it. When you hear about what Yahushua said to the people, he said to them, during that time, you know what is right. That is to say, they said they've been keeping the law of Moses from their childhood. Then he said to them, go and sell all you have and give to the poor. And then they were all, that one, that particular person was annoyed to what? Because he had a lot of wealth. Now, you need to be able to understand that when you talk about the law of Moses, which came 430 years after, this law of Moses cannot annul the promise that had been made even during the time of the law of circumcision. So, what then? This is what Apostle Shaul, because you need to be able to understand even who Apostle Shaul is. Apostle Shaul is somebody who is not under the culture. That is to say, he is not under the law of circumcision, but rather he is now somebody who is in the Torah or in the law of Moses, who believes in keeping the law, the Shabbat, and everything, because he was a Pharisee. So now, Apostle Shaul, who was a fervent follower of the law of Moses, what happened? He was now trying to go against those traditionalists who were keeping the law of circumcision, or who were under the law of circumcision, or who were following their tradition. And that is the reason why he had this so much zeal, because he was thinking that he was protecting the tradition of his fathers, not knowing that if you are talking about tradition of your father, not knowing that even the people who are under the law of circumcision or who are under tradition, they are more closer to keeping the law of their own ancestors than you, because the law of Moses came 430 years after. So he was doing everything in order to do what? To disrupt, because these people now, the traditionalists, some among them were being chosen by who? Yahushua, for them to be his followers. I don't know if you understand what happened here. Yahushua chose among them traditionalists, people whom he wants to walk with him. That is to say, to walk with him. That is why he said that, come and I will make you fishers of men. And those that he chose, he called them, and then he opened up their eyes to the mission of what is going on. So, but Apostle Shaul could not see those people. He could not see where Yahushua was bringing them, because Apostle Shaul was still a babe. So he was being shut up. He was being stuck under that law of what? Of Moses. He was being stuck under preventing the law of Moses, not knowing that when he was persecuting the apostles, that he was actually doing what? Fighting against Yahushua, because Yahushua has already converted these traditionalists that you are seeing from their way into another higher dimension, which is the purpose of why his coming was everything. The real purpose of coming of Yahushua is to elevate them, not to destroy those things that they were doing, but to elevate them and show them a higher revelation. So when he elevated them, they were now on a different dimension, because they are now his follower. So Apostle Shaul never understood that. So that he now saw them as people who are going against the law of the land, or against the law of Torah. And that law of Torah, the individual that called this traditionalist is the same one that gave that law. I don't know if you understood what is really going on here. Now, Apostle Shaul was somebody who was doing a lot of things out of ignorance, and the zeal that he had to protect the law of Moses was very fervent. And then he was being called, because he's somebody who was being shut up under that law. So he was being called after the resurrection of Yahushua, and his eyes now were being opened. So he was able to be elevated above his own fellow people who are under the law. So he, Apostle Shaul, now is seeing things which other beings who are under the law of Moses could not see. And it was the same master that called the apostles, called Apostle Shaul. So when the veil was being lifted off the eyes of Apostle Shaul, who was a follower of what? Of the law of Moses, when his eyes was being opened, the things he was fighting over, he had no option rather than to do what? Than to turn everything around in order to work for the benefit of the one that has called him. Because he now could see something that overrides the table of stone. Even something that override the table of stone, and now he could see something that override the culture itself. Because what the culture is all about is to be able to elevate you into a different dimension. I don't know if you understood what is really going on. You are under your culture, or under the bondage, which you call Shabbat, and you try to keep Shabbat. Like I said to you all, everything about the Shabbat is being fulfilled in Yahushua. Yahushua is the fulfillment of everything about the Shabbat. His coming was the fulfillment of Shabbat. He is the master of Shabbat. Apostle Peter, who was called by Yahushua, was going against your Shabbat. He was doing things on the day that you people call Saturdays, because these people knew nothing about your Saturday, because they even use different day period. And you are out here trying to point people back under the law of Moses, when there is something that overrides the law of Moses, and you say you are just pulling people from frying pan to fire. You're pulling some people from Christianity, and you say you want to put them under the law of Moses, under the Torah, under bondage. I call it bondage. It is bondage. When you pull people out from Christianity and you push them under the wrath, under the law of Moses, you are putting them under bondage. You are not giving them any freedom. There is no freedom there. You are tying them down, because the Pharisees are going to suck these people raw. But you don't get what is really going on. The people who were under the law of circumcision even had more liberty. Don't you understand what happened? They had more liberty. Not that they have complete liberty, but they had more liberty than the people who were under the law of Moses. You people need to be able to understand what is really going on. What did you think that Yahushua said unto them? When they were trying to say Yahushua told them that, if the Son shall make you free, you shall be free indeed. They were like, man, what are you talking about? We're not in bond to any man. But Yahushua knew what he was saying, because they were still entangled. We talk about the traditionalists from their own side. Something was still holding them back. And nothing that is holding them back is what Yahushua came in order to elevate, so that he can elevate them higher. Because he was the master of everything. He was the master of Shabbat, and he was the master of traditionalists. He could see what they both could not see, because he is a different dimensional being. So when you are out here trying to point people back to something that is meant for dummies, I call it dummies. I say that this is full dummies. Because Abraham never needed no things that were written on the table of stone. It wasn't meant for beings for Abraham. Abraham never needed it. There's something that overrides that. So the thing that was, when you talk about the law of Moses, it was maybe made for dummies. That is why Apostle Shaul said that it was a schoolmaster. Some of you don't understand what is really going on, and you're here trying to mess around, talking trash about what you know nothing about. The coming of Yahushua is all about to elevate you. If you are under the law of Moses, it is to elevate you the way Apostle Shaul was being elevated, and he could see what others who are in his own contemporary time could not see. That was why Apostle Shaul said that, and behold, he had a voice, that is to say, he saw a light shining above the brightness of the sun. That is to say, the light shined beyond the sun that you know about. So the light is brighter than the sun. That is to say, is brighter than what he has known. This is something that you need to be able to reason and understand what is going on. So he could see, he could now see things which others could not see. That is the reason why a lot of people have problem with Apostle Shaul, because he is deep. He is deep. He's no longer in your in an ordinary level. He has been elevated. You people don't understand what is going on. You're here playing up games. You don't know what is really going on. When you talk about religion, when you talk about traditionalists, when you talk about people trying to pull you back under the law of Moses, these people are blind. These people are dummies. Everything about the law of Moses, everything about that fulfilled in Yahushua. These people are all gone astray into the lordship of the house of Yisrael. The word has gone out. It is the ability for you to be able to understand. This is my beloved son in whom I am well pleased. Hear ye him. So when you hear Yahushua, you've fulfilled both your culture and whatsoever that is written on the table of stone, but you don't understand it. You think that what is being said is a joke. Because you are too blind to understand. You're too blind to see. The war that has been going on between the Pharisees, the scribes, the elders of the people, that war is still very much prevalent. It's very much active. You're here trying to think that you're going to bring your Shabbats and be able to use it and impose it on the people of a traditionalist. You must be out of your mind. You must be out of your mind to think that you're going to tell a real hardcore traditionalist to go back under the law of Moses, which they use Saturday, when Saturday is not even in among the days of the real hardcore traditionalist. A real Igbo does not even know nothing about no Saturday, because Saturday does not exist in his own calendar. So how can you impose something that does not exist into something that has been existing before you even brought up something that you called Saturday? Saturday is being made up. It's something that we're being changed. Times were being changed. That is how you come to your Saturdays. When times were being changed, Eke Ore Afo Nkong has been before Saturday. So tell me how you come to the 7 days. You use the 7 days and you want to use it to impose it on a traditionalist? Somebody who is older than you. You came 430 years after. And you want to draw people from Christianity and you say they should go back to Shabbat, and you have the boldness to want to defend what you know nothing about. Just your foolishness is taking you out of, just making you to go astray. You need to be able to understand. I'm talking to the light beings here. I'm talking to the spirit of life. I'm talking to people who have ears to hear. I'm talking to the truth seekers in order to elevate them. I'm not here trying to point you into culture or try to point you under Shabbat. I'm here to elevate you. This is my mission. To elevate you beyond those things that you ever known about. You are in your tradition. You're still a child. You need to grow. You can't remain obese, a boy every year. You have to grow spiritually. That is why I'm here to elevate you. Elevate those who are going to be elevated out of your culture. And those who are under that Shabbat, I'm going to uplift you the way Apostle Shaul was being elevated. But some of you don't understand our mission here. We're here to tell you the truth, because the Bible makes us to understand. Thou shalt know the truth, and the truth is what is going to set you free. If you stuck yourself, if you go under that bondage, you got yourself to blame, because every penalty of whatsoever you are going to commit, everything that you're going to pass through, the punishment that is going to befall those who break that law has already been set even while you're going to where you're going. So if you find yourself under the law, then you have the consequences. You're going to bear the consequences of being under the law. This is why I tell you that a lot of beings, the people who are saying that they talk about slavery, some of them are still going back into slavery. That same Egypt, which they were being told that they are not going to see again, because of their disobedience, they are going to still repeat it. They are going to still repeat it. Go to the book of Deuteronomy 28:68. They are going to still repeat it because of their foolishness. They want to go back under the law, right? They want to keep everything with their own power. The word has gone out for those who have ears to hear. For those who have eyes to see. That when Yahushua walked the earth, he selected a particular people. He selected a chosen people. And those people that he selected, he gave them a revelation. He gave them a mission. He gave them a knowledge that was unchallengeable. He impacted certain knowledge. And even the people who were around, they knew, the moment that they started speaking, they say, oh, they took knowledge of these people that they were with Yahushua because they were never learned. How did they have all this knowledge? Because there is a certain knowledge that was being impacted on them. And some dummies out here are trying to point people back into the law of Moses, when the law of Moses itself is pointing you all into Yahushua. There's one mightier than Yehochanan. Him will you have. That is the true light, that lighted every man that cometh into the world. You need to wake up out of your sleep and slumberness and do not let these them dummies, these them people who have not grown spiritually, these people, these dwarfs who are everywhere, dwarfs who do not even know the scripture, dwarfs pushing you, drawing you from Christianity and pushing you under bondage, from frying pan to fire, making you worse than you were even before. These are the Pharisees of today. These are the Pharisees of today. But you can't see because you're blind. That is why I'm here to elevate you and open up your eyes. Moses was not allowed to enter into the land of Canaan. But the traditionalists were in the land of Canaan. They entered. Moses was not allowed there. That is the law of Moses and all these things. Was not allowed to enter into the land of Canaan. Moses died on the mount. So how come you, the followers who are following the Shabbat, they think that you're going to go into the land of promise? You ask yourself, oh, wherefore then is the law was given? Well, what was the reason of this law given? The law was for dummies. It was never meant for the spirit beings. It was for dummies. It was why Apostle Shaul said that it was a schoolmaster. It was a schoolmaster. What is the schoolmaster? The righteous do not need the law. People have been dumbed down too low. If you say you want to defend the Shabbat, come out, and I will tear you into pieces. Do not go and be meeting all these pastors who do not know nothing about the law or about the scripture. And you say you are a traditionalist, you want to defend the traditionalist of what you don't know about. You come and challenge. We are the owners of the Bible that you're saying. Don't go and be meeting all these fake pastors who do not know nothing about the scripture. Challenge we. And we're going to tear you into pieces either also. And expose everything. Talk about the culture and talk about your Shabbat. We are here to elevate the beings who are in the culture and who are in Shabbat. Trying to keep the law of Moses. Elevating them into a different dimension is all what it's all about. The same way Peter, who is a culture, who is somebody who is under the law of circumcision, the same way he was being elevated, and the same way Apostle Shaul, who is under the law of Moses, was being elevated, is the same way I'm here to elevate my brothers and sisters who are under the culture and who are under the Shabbat, or who are under all this the law of Moses, to elevate them up. Some of you don't understand our mission here. I tell you reality. You think that we are ordinary beings. We are not ordinary beings. But with time, you're going to understand and realize what our missions are. Some of you can see already. Some of you can see. Some of you are kicking against the stone. Just the same way Apostle Shaul was kicking against the stone. He never knew what he was doing because he was ignorant of it until his eyes were being opened. I keep on telling you this. I keep on telling you this. A message is not for everybody, but for those who have eyes to see, for the elect, for the chosen few. For the chosen few. I said it, and I'm saying it again, because this question came to me. The difference between, how are they going to, that he just wanted an explanation of what the law and the culture, how the connections and everything about it now. That brother said, so that's why I wanted to just use this medium, this channel, this chance, this way to expound it so that you can be able to understand and know that everyone that is under the law is in bondage. I care less of who you are. If you're not in Yahushua, you are in bondage. You are a bond person. If you are under the law, you are under bondage. You are under the culture. You are under the culture. You've still not been free. You have to be free indeed. And in order to be free indeed, you have to be free indeed through Yahushua. Don't you understand that Abraham paid 10% of his own of his tithes to someone? Do you know who that individual is? But you don't understand nothing about what is going on. Like I said, I'm here to elevate my brothers and sisters, those who have eyes to see, those who have ears to hear. And I say to all my brothers and sisters who are out there working it out, in the name of Yahushua, keep it up. And may you remain Baruch. In the name of Yahushua, I say to you all, Shalom.